All right, welcome back to Pro Bikini News Network. And in this segment, we have something called Q&RA, where you guys submit questions. I'm going to give you realistic answers. It could be about anything that you guys want, anything from diet, nutrition, supplementation, anything in the fitness industry, or just any question in general. I have 15 years experience in the health and fitness industry. I'm a former doctor of physical therapy candidate. I'm also NSCA certified personal trainer, and I've been around the space for many years with my experience. So anything that I know and I learned of, I can share with you guys. And the only thing I want to do is bring value to you people. So many ways you can submit your questions. One, email those questions to at taurusstrengthcoaching@gmail.com, or two, I post a question box in my stories once or twice a week for you guys to submit your questions. And today we got some really good ones, so we'll get into it. But before all this, I don't run ads on this channel. I don't run ads for this channel. I'm not going to run your ear off and annoy you every 2-3 minutes and bore you with ads. So the only ways you guys can support the channel is like, subscribe, share, or use my code PBNN at Toxic Angels and Bikinis, or L Classic 10 at Unmatched Supps. Those are ways that you can help support the channel, help fund it, and help bring special guests, and also bring up the technology of this podcast and everything about the channel. So with that being said, let's get to our questions. We got some really good ones, especially this one that has happened in this week. So let's get to it. All right, here we go. Who will turn pro in 2026 for Bikini and Fit Model? Okay, anyone, I'm not going to judge amateurs, but if I was to pick out names right now, off the top of my head, I'll say Issa Miranda, Rachel Sedgwick's girl in bikini. She did junior nationals and universe. She was going to do nationals, but then she dropped out. Marissa Soto, I believe that she'll turn pro in either bikini or fit model. Gianna Hernandez, and her progression is just amazing. I mean, going from her previous coach to now and just seeing her grow like a weed is incredible. I'll say Adam Bania's girl, Madison Alexandra, if she nails it. And I'll put Lindsay Blackburn in fit model. So I think, I mean, I would say right at the top of my head, in fit model and in bikini, I would say that there's no one that's like, I mean, obviously Gianna's very popular online, so I would say most likely she has a good chance. And if she's really dedicated, and she's really dedicated to this, I mean, the work that she's been putting in is truly amazing. I'm going to show you who I'm talking about right now. Okay, here we go. Gianna. Here we go. And that's insane. 6 months. I don't know. I think most likely she'll do the Arnold Amateur, or maybe one of the earlier pro qualifiers, or maybe she has to do another show just to nationally qualify again. But I don't think that'll be difficult for her. But that's insane progression. Like, shout out to Drew from Fit Body and the work that she's putting in. But she puts in the work and the time. So you got to give, that dedication is something you can't teach. All right, back to our questions. Okay, here we go. Why do people get so worked up with exercise selection and make everything all about science and nuances? Here's the thing. Everybody wants to sound like they're right about everything, or they want to make where it's like, based off my work, this is the best, and it's like, this is bad, and look at this person's form. And then it's like, for instance, with Laura Lee doing hip thrusts again, it's like, oh, you're doing hip thrusts, it's bad for you. When you didn't do hip thrusts, you won the title. It's like, it works with them. It's like everyone wants to sound like, it's like information over. They believe like me knowing more, that's going to elicit growth, and that's what's going to help this person. It's like, no, it's like, it's simple. Everyone's different. Everyone's individualized. And like I said in my last episode, it's like, you have to go and differentiate this is what science says. This is what actually works, and what people say work in the gym. There's no effective way to do that. There's no cookie cutter plan. There's no cookie cutter exercise program that can work for everybody. Everyone's going to be different, and everyone's going to individualize. So you have to look at someone and see what their goals and what they need to orient, and what needs to put them in that direction. So this whole like, something with, and then, this guy's got like over 20 years experience, like Brett Contreras, and then other people saying things, and this is like, whatever works. It's like, you could take things and take advice and stuff, and okay, think about it and then apply it, but then say your foot position, this position, that. It's like, see what's not working for that person. In physique competitions, it's all about how your body's going to come together, right? If you're just training for just fun, it doesn't matter. If you're training for, you have to have a purpose and an intent when you train, right? So going to your question is getting so worked up about exercise selection and stuff. It's like whatever exercises help that person improve is good for that person. Whatever ones that they feel comfortable with and helps them, great. Not everyone's going to do the same thing. Not everyone's going to do the same exact thing. And for people to go and like, this is why I feel like people don't want to post their trainings, because they'll instantly get criticized, like, your form is shit. You didn't win your pro card because of this, or you lost because you train like that. It's like, okay, they can figure something out. And if the judges tell them something, if something is not bad, or even my coach, when I post my videos and I send to him, he tells me, slow it down, actually focus on that. You have to, like for instance, when someone's doing like a lat pull down, you're supposed to engage your back. And I think this is something John Meadows taught me. It's like, if you're using your biceps and pulling into it, right? If you're contracting with your biceps just to get it down, it's not your focus. You're using your biceps more than your back. You have to really just focus on that movement itself and what it's targeting. So that's some things I would appreciate that people would do. Honestly, it's like, I feel like that's why now these days, not many people post their trainings. They just do shorts. They don't post long videos. I mean, like Sam Sulik, the guy trains to failure, for instance, and it works for him. And the guy trains hard. That, then you see why he grows. But then again, it's all about genetics and how people are, predisposed and all. So that's what I feel like. This whole, this exercise is bad. Let me show you this. Let me show you a foot. And like putting up, like, there's no articles on this works and this works. There could be some studies, but not entirely. And it's just, I don't know. Everybody should do their own thing. If this is why it's like, you don't go to a gym and then try to give people advice, only if they like really need it. You kind of have to read that person. So it's kind of like, don't try to be like a form police and stuff. So Maria Acosta in the top 5 at the Olympia. We saw this from BTS TV. If you're asking the question if I think Maria Acosta has the potential to be top 5 at the Olympia, I don't think that's out of question. She's still young into this. I think she's going to be 30 this year, I believe. And she's never been outside of the top 10 since she's been a pro. She's never been outside of a top 10 in a pro show. She's been out she's a 3-time Olympian and been top 10 twice at the Olympias that she's qualified for. So she was 7th and then she was 9th. You could have argued she could have been ahead at this past Olympia. And I do think that she's a very consistent pro. She's brought her waist down. She's improving everything. But the thing that's hard for her is that she's the first one up. So she's got to come out, like, remember, like, she goes up and then you have 49 to 50 to like 60 people to go through. It's like she's got to hold that condition. So I think that's what's hard for her. But if she comes out and nails her look and peaks properly, I mean, her even Jamie said her East Coast Pro was probably one of the best looks she had. And she qualified by winning that and the Atlantic Coast. But do I think she has a top 5 potential in the future? So if I'm thinking she was 9th, you have let's see, you have Vanya ahead of her, you have Evie Eskandar, you have Laura Lee, and you have Ashley. So it's difficult, but I don't say that it's not doable. I definitely think that if she shows up the best out of any of those girls on that Saturday morning or afternoon, whatever time it goes on, I believe that she's has the potential to be a top 5 girl. I mean, she's placed 4th at the Arnold from last year. So I definitely think with some time off, and if she does compete again, we'll see what she's brought up and nailing the look. And I don't think that's out of question. I definitely think she's going to keep improving, and she's going to be a perennial Olympian and a perennial top 10 for many years. So I definitely think top 5 is doable in the future. It could have been, you could have said like in 24, she could have been maybe 1 or 2 places higher. Who knows? All right. Why is Hyrox training becoming such a popular trend? So I kept hearing about it for some bikini pros doing it, and this is not disrespecting anyone who is doing Hyrox or has done a Hyrox. I think, and I've discussed this with Rachel Sedgwick from Refined Strength, because I asked her, like, how come this has become so popular in like the past years lately? And she's like, it's because people don't want to train as hard and they're looking for something that's like almost hybrid training, almost like a CrossFit, triathlon kind of a thing. It's challenging, but it's not like really emphasizing any. It's kind of like endurance, you know. It's kind of like an endurance type of training. Now, I don't know much about it. I'm just giving from what I see and from what I have heard, just to come up with this kind of conclusion. But I don't think it's. I mean, whatever. If you like doing it, go ahead. I mean, if you want to try it out, I say try it out for yourself. But I wouldn't do it myself, and I just don't. I mean, I get it. It's kind of like a hobby kind of a thing. So I would. That's what I would say about it. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I think right now it's kind of like a popular trend. It's something that people are doing, and then it's going to be going up, and then sooner it's going to, you know, slope right down. So that's all I know about Hyrox as of right now. Who was the first ever bikini international champion at the Arnold? Nicole Negrani. She also won the Olympia in the same year. That was in 2012. So yeah, I mean, yeah, she was the first one. Okay, here's a good one. Would you rather in bikini have the fit model Stallion pose or the current bikini front pose? And when do they phase out the Stallion pose? So I like the Stallion pose. I think it accentuates people's physique so much better. But when they stop doing that, it kind of and the judges tell them stop doing that. It kind of took away the physique. But I like that fit model front that Stallion pose. I prefer that over that pose that people were like slanting their back and it just looked like really cringe and uncomfortable. I think the last time we saw that was possibly like in 2019, 2020, 2021, maybe. I think some girls did it in 2022, but I feel like at that time it was like really phased out. Like very few poses. I think maybe the last one was Ellie Fernandez. Like she would get into it and then do her front pose. Um, I like it. I think I would have still kept it. That's one thing that I mean, if that's part of your presentation, don't go ahead and do it. But when they said stop doing that, so that's why I feel like that's a separation of bikini and now fit model, so people can go back and do that again, and it works for people who have that longer torso and really they can't really do a good front pose because of how proportionate their upper body is to their lower body, and also how they can make their waist come in snatch. So I prefer that pose. I still wish it was in bikini, but now it's in fit model. Let's see. Will you be attending the women's workshop this weekend? I will not. This is a women's only weekend. I mean, there are people who it's free. There are people all over the world and overseas that registered to do this event, and there's hundreds of spaces, and there's also wait lists. People don't come. So I don't want to be that person that ruins it for everybody or takes it away for someone else if I attend or not. I am going to be attending the Victory in Posing that's in the shop gym in Ashburn. So and I'm going to be learning from Bill Sabia a lot of that. But the women's workshop, it should just be for them weekend. It's just a weekend for them and for all the women's categories. So I obviously want people to learn from people in our industry and learn from them. I'm sending some of my girls there, so as well. I mean, I don't know how many years ago it was, but when Attila was running it, she was like, "Oh, I'm happy to see everyone's here, including the men." And it kind of like I could kind of hear from the tone of her voice. It just felt really awkward that the men that were there that were not coaches like Kim, Cash, James, Adam, or if it was any of the sponsors and any of that or promoters, it was boyfriends and husbands of competitors there that like took reservations and spot, which kind of made it feel awkward and just weird. So it changes the dynamic of how the whole days ran, and I don't want to be that. I mean, I guarantee if Brittany Shea saw this part right here, she could probably say, "Yeah, at that time it was really just weird." It's their weekend. Let them have their thing. Let them be empowering each other, and I'm happy that they're doing it. And we'll maybe learn some things from Olympia champions and people in every category and see what they're looking for and what Sandy has to say about things. But also, if you are attending there is a special announcement, so you don't want to miss it. I'm hoping to cover that. I have a little insight, but until it's official, then I will post that. So stay tuned. Has Ashley really gone up against every single Miss Olympia champion? I mean, Ashley turned pro in 12, right? I think she started competing in like 11. So she did let me see, she did the Arnold in 13. I think that was the last time we saw Nicole Negrani and Nathalia Mello in the same show. And then she wins the 2013 Olympia, which Nathalia was defending. And then she's gone against, well, she was defeated by Courtney. She's gone against Angelica. She's gone against Issa, Janet. She's gone against everybody. I don't think I don't think she ever did. No, she didn't ever do a show against Sonia Gonzalez, which I'm going to actually talk about because there's a question right here about that. So, yeah, I mean, she's gone through it all. She's the Kobe Bryant of bikini, and she's still at the top of the game and adapted to the criteria and just keeps playing it. That's why she's the best. But yeah, she's gone through it all. She's never defeated Nicole, because I think Nicole took third at that Arnold in 13, because India won, Nathalia took second, and Nicole got third, and I think Yashaira got fourth. Yashaira Robles, who took second, Ashley at the Olympia. I don't remember who was fifth or sixth, but I know Ashley was 10th, and that was like her lowest place ever. But yeah, she's gone through it. But she's gone through every champion. She's competed against almost everybody. Let's see. How many Wolfpack bags do you own? I have 7. I actually counted. I have 4 backpacks, a 9-liter sling, a crossbody, and a 40-liter duffel. I always keep taking my meal bag with me because I take my meals with me, but I like the yellow jacket one. I have the 60th anniversary Olympia. I have the Alpha Black, the 2023 Olympia. That's the one I use the most. I use my 9-liter sling for just when I'm shopping and put my cameras in. My crossbody has, like, when I'm at work, everything I need to carry in it. And then my 40-liter duffel is like, has all my gym equipment in it. But I rotate my bags just based off how I feel and style. And I've seen posts about that, and there are people that have like 15, 20. I'm like, how many do you need? I'm good enough with what I have. But also they're one of the best direct to consumers, and they have good resale value as well. If you're trying to trade it, get some money back, and buy something new. But they keep coming out with new ones almost every week, new licensing, new collaborations, and it's just like, if it's something I really like, then I'll go get it. This is the past Olympia one. I got the 23, I got the 24 Olympia, 25. It was just the patches were just too dark. It was like hard to read, and I just wasn't into like that red canvas, so I didn't get it this year. They're on sale. Not an ad. Is bodybuilding almost like a pageant? Kind of. I would say, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about like almost like kind of being like a beauty contest kind of a thing, kind of like how we talk about, I say presentation, right? When you come out and you do your catwalk, you do your individual, it's not, what are they looking at? They're looking at how you're presenting that physique with everything: hair, suit, makeup, tan, how you brought it in, how you came in peaked, and how you go on stage. So it is essentially like a pageant almost. And yes, obviously the best physique, the best overall look encompassing is what wins. I would say this, essentially it is kind of like a pageant, just in how, you're compared with other people, and who has the best overall look on that show day is going to be awarded. So yes. Now, is it about like a Miss Universe or Miss America? No. I mean, back when bikini started, it was essentially like Victoria's Secret, kind of like trying to make it mainstream. And I mean, it's getting there, with also, Fit Model being added as well. But I would say it depends on what scope you're looking at. I'm going to say yes, but not really. If there's no yes or no answer. It's hard for me to say. But on one side, I say yes. On the other side, I was like, I'd say most likely yes, essentially. It's hard for me to say, yeah, bodybuilding's a pageant. Janet officially back in doing Fit Model. What are your thoughts on this? Oh, what would you like to hear? So I had this feeling that she was going to do Fit Model, but I was like, until she declares she's doing it or she's in a lineup, I'd leave her out. On one hand, I'm like, this is what's going to get traction and attention that I've been talking about, so this division's popular. On the other hand, I'm seeing people say, oh, it's going to ruin it for the division. It's essentially bikini girls taking over and it's going to ruin the whole division. But you have to realize, that's it's going to evolve so fast with this. Everything is evolving. Everything is going back to what it's originally supposed to be. If you think about when the female division started, and even the men's divisions, why we brought in other things, it was just men's and women's bodybuilding at the time, right? And then in 95, you had fitness to make it entertaining to do a gymnastics routine, but not many people could do flips and tumbles and stuff. So they had that physique round with a 1-piece, 2-piece. The 1-piece is no longer a thing. I think they made that, they got rid of the 1-piece, I think around 2009, 10-ish. So now it's just a 2-piece for figure. And they brought in the figure division in 2003. So that's been around for what? Almost 23 years. I think the first figure competition ever was in 2001, which Ryan Benson won in California in like some auditorium or something like that from Zero Gravity. So then figure started. So they're just in heels. They're just doing quarter turns. And then 6 years later, when girls in figure got a little too big or they were like not too small, some girls were like, I'm not going to do women's bodybuilding because it's too intense. Bikini came along in 2009 as a division where it was going to be more smaller, kind of like a pageant girl, Victoria's Secret, girl on the beach kind of idea. Your first ever Miss Bikini Olympia champion was Sonia Gonzalez, and she came in from figure. And she was in figure for almost 6 years. And then it got more bigger when it went with like Nicole Wilkins kind of era and Aaron Stern. And Nicole got more bigger, and when she lost her title and she came back and started working with Hani, who actually Hani Rambod, his first Olympia title was Jenny Lin, who won 06 and 07. Then Sonia got to Bikini in 2010. She won the first title. And I'm going to show you guys what Sonia looked like, because a lot of people who are new to this and just wanted to learn about the history of the bikini division don't even know who that is. So I'll show you. So this is your first ever Miss Bikini Olympia right here. And you're seeing the difference of the first one to like when Jen Dory won. Yeah, she was in figure, like how jacked she was at the time. But then she downsized and went to bikini. So some girls went from figure to downsize into bikini. And how the suits were different. It looked like something you can just go buy from a store. To then now you have like this hologram suit now. And then it got bedazzled in the bikini division. Let's see, go to like, you see this like suit right here. That would be fit model. Now the connectors are metal and all, but they're now just like string ones. Yeah, so the whole look in the division has evolved into like this more athletic look. It just also, I'm gonna exit out of this right now. Also, it's kind of like whatever shows up, and that's the best physique. The judges are going to go to it. It's kind of like they're doing their best of keeping the criteria in line, but whatever shows up, they have to pick the best physique. And there's someone that looks amazing, much bigger, and then it's kind of like, oh, so then they pick that girl, right? And when that happens, criteria kind of shifts, because then everyone's thinking, well, if I'm going to win, I need to be more bigger than that person, and I need to be more conditioned and more leaner and more shredded, because they take feedback from the judges and they try to apply it. So then they come back, and what happens is the whole look starts to shift, because one person who got awarded that was the one who was winning, and then everyone's just trying to level up and try to beat that person out. Going back to how divisions evolved, right? 2012, they brought in men's physique, because 2012, the Arnold that Sonia won in India had a 1-point decision in. Arnold was talking about the men's open and saying how the stomachs were just disgusting. They need to do something about it because no one wants to look like it. So then they had men's physique. And look how men's physique's evolved. It went from like guy in swim trunks with Mark Anthony, who looks like he actually was a model. I actually learned about this. I actually talked to him about it. I was joking with him. But he was a model, kind of like a guy on the beach, kind of walking around in shorts. And now it's more this like super athletic jacked look, and the shorts have gotten smaller, and now they're getting them on the legs. So, I mean, people used to say bikini girls were just small and like they don't look like they train at all. And it's like now girls in bikini got better calves than the chicken leg boys in men's physique. We had women's physique introduced because not many people could nail figure. They based the women's physique look off of Dana Lynn Bailey. They literally made a division for her. And it was really popular when it first started. And it was intended to look what women's bodybuilding was back in the 80s. And when Dana Lynn Bailey won her first Olympia in 2013, and she comes back in 2014 and she loses to a much more bigger Juliana Malacarne. And then, like I said, criteria shifts when the more impressive physique, it's like you want to keep it like, oh, I can't, but then you're like, you can't take your eyes off that more impressive girl. They go to that person. And then that's when the whole criteria shifts. And then you kind of see women's physique. It's kind of going through this like, and I don't mean any disrespect. I have a friend, Caitlin Winkler, who won the overall universe in 2022, but it's kind of going through this downward trend. It's just like we see what kind of physiques and people want. And a lot of people want that smaller physique. It's much easier to be smaller than it is to be bigger, to carry that much weight, to be, big, get super conditioned. It's much easier to be much smaller. So that's kind of why people go with the bikini look and more now it's the fit model look, because it's more sustainable. I don't want to say entirely attainable because not many people can do this kind of stuff, but that's essentially what happens. So with going with Janet, right? If she's going to do these shows, she's got to downsize a whole lot and got to go back to the criteria it was 10 years ago. And let's see what happens. Like I said, we will see what happens on the stage. We'll see what happens in the season. But everyone's like, fit model's ruined. I can't believe this. Please stop. Give other girls a chance. It's like every bikini girl, not just Janet, anybody that's going from bikini to fit model, they're going to get judged based off the criteria, and they're going to get, and whatever shows up on that show is what's going to get awarded. And what happens at Pittsburgh and what happens at the Olympia and who sets the standard, that's where the division is going to go to. So right now, we don't know what's going to happen. It's exciting to see someone back, exciting to see someone popular as Janet back, but until she's on a stage and getting compared to some of the girls and what this new division's criteria will entail, we'll just have to see what happens. So that's my thoughts. My thoughts are like, I'm excited, but then I'm kind of like, let's just see how it goes, one day at a time. Everyone's just like, I feel like this instant gratification society is kind of like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And, who's going to win and who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? It's like, we're going to have a lot of people in a lot of shows. I think there's going to be over 50 people in Japan. And then Wasatch is going to be heavy. So pay attention to that one. And it's going to be the first ever US show. It also shows in Florida and then also Pittsburgh. So look closely and see what they're trying to go for. Also national level shows. You got Junior USAs as well. You have the Junior Nats. You have the Universe USAs. North Americans is in September actually, which is going to be post Olympia qualification. So see what happens from there. And then we have the Olympia in September. So, one day at a time. But I'll say this, it brings some attention and traction, especially with somebody, like I said, you need that person to really carry the division forward. But I don't know if it's going to be Janet. Everyone's like, she's going to be the standard. It's like, we'll see what happens. She hasn't been on stage in 3 years and she's kept herself pretty good. I do think that she is working with Ben Quill, who now has Marine as an athlete. So, I mean, it makes sense because she lives in Florida. Ben lives in Florida. You have your coach right there with like not too far from you. So I think it's best scenario. I don't think she's going to be working with Kim. So yeah. So here we go. What was the question? What are ways for women to learn about PEDs and peptides, SARMs versus a coach writing them out for them? So stay tuned. I have a very special guest that you're going to like, and I'm trying to bring that value to you people. Her name is Victoria Felkar. I had a great podcast interview with her. I'm going to do my intro and upload that, and I'm going to help you guys bring some value so that you guys could learn from her. So that's something I would tell you, but literally I could educate you guys on all those things, and I could probably be another episode for all that. And obviously Corey Hageman does a very good job with it. John Jewett, Derek, more plays, more dates, and I've kind of learned from them. I've learned from different people from different eras that came from the forums, but I was from that like I want to know what it does, what are side effects. So Victoria Falcar, great person for that, and she's finishing up her PhD in Canada, and I'm happy to have her on, and I'm going to have that episode for you guys. And so that's going to be guys. So I'm hoping that you guys can learn from her as well. And she's gone through it. And I think that she's going to bring some great value. So that's what I would say. What was Courtney King's impact and legacy in bikini? It felt like a short-term career. It was crazy when I told somebody not too long ago that Courtney King was Miss Bikini Olympia because she disliked Ashley. And I was like, "Well, who do you think beat Ashley in 2016?" And it's like, and like, who? Angelica? I was like, "No, Courtney." It's like, and she's like, "Courtney was not Miss Bikini Olympia. She's just Chris Bumstead's wife." And I'm like, I look at and I hear that, I'm kind of thinking that it was kind of disrespectful to what she accomplished, taking second in her class, turning pro at 18 years old, and then within 4 years, she became Miss Bikini Olympia. And that 2016 Olympia, Ashley was going for her fourth, and she wasn't as conditioned, and she wound up in fourth place. Stacy Alexander and Janet, who were they were consistently in the top five, were outside the top five in that one. So it was really competitive that year, and girls started to get more muscular and get more conditioned, and so they try to bring that criteria. They try to like go with a more smaller, softer look with Courtney, and she posed way differently than the other girls. If you see the top four from that, you're gonna look at her and like that's the most like outlier of them all. So if you saw like the top four comparisons, I'm gonna pull it up on NPC News. It's really crazy. 16, see comparisons. Go to here we go. So there's Courtney, Angelica, India, and Ashley. Courtney won, Angelica was second, Indy was third, Ashley was fourth. How they posed way back then, if you just look, it could have gone either way with India or Angelica winning. But if I looked at the scorecard, she was given a 7, she got 10, India got 11, and then Ashley was straight fourth. So I mean, they try to go with the more smaller look when the girls started getting more muscular. So I felt like when Courtney won, it was trying to just bring it was trying to like maintain the integrity of the criteria, and it got a lot of backlash. And unfortunately, she got a lot of crap for it. And people look at this, they start laughing. They're like, that was Bikini. And when I showed her physique, I was just like, I mean, they picked the best physique in order to keep the division in line. So yeah, if I look at other photos, you can see how some people were doing that kind of fit model pose, the current front pose almost right now. But you talk about the whole like look presentation, Courtney had it. I felt like she had the best front of everybody in the whole show. You know, the presentation, the hair, suit, glam, everything. Like you couldn't take your eyes off her. And that's why I believe she won. Even if her back was not the best, it was the most softest of them all. It wasn't the most conditioned. And you got to keep in mind that was 10 years ago. So when I think about her impact and her legacy, I felt like her winning it young. And I mean, it's hard for me to say it, but I mean, I never met Courtney in person, so I can't really talk much about that. But I felt like when she won so young and how the division was going and the backlash that she got, plus she had an eating disorder. And I felt like it was a lot for her being that young to even be I'm not saying that she was not mature enough, but I felt like all the, flack that she kept getting, she competed for over like 10 years because she used to do the teens, which is nothing now. But I think that looking back, that her legacy was that it was just trying to bring the division into the right place. And they tried to do, and they made her the best pick. And yeah. But for people to say that she's just Chris Bumstead's wife, and that it's kind of like they'll talk about how famous someone else is because of someone else, and they discredit someone else's accomplishments, which I feel like is absolutely wrong. But and Chris Bumstead's my favorite. You got to realize she turned pro in 2012, and she was a pro way before Chris Bumstead was. Chris Bumstead turned pro in 2016 in Men's Open at the North American. So, and Classic was introduced that, and that was the first year they had Classic Physique, and Danny Hester won the first one that year. They only had about 20, 25, 26 people in that first one. So that's what that whole industry has changed in the past 10 years, and the whole fitness industry, not just bikini, but everything. They wanted to bring more of aesthetic look. They wanted to bring more of that mainstream look. And that's kind of why Classic Physique was created. Even Arnold thinks Classic, it was ridiculous to bring Classic because he says Classic, that should be Mr. Olympia, because that should be the best quality physique that people want. And that's what I think the winner should be. It should be the physique that people want, and people want to be like the top 3 girls, everyone wanted to look like them at that Olympia for bikini. So I think her legacy I feel like obviously if you guys are watching this, you understand when I try to show you guys is you got to appreciate the people who paved the way for you guys and into what you guys are here. OGs remember Courtney. The new social media people, I actually found this out and I felt bad about this, but Maureen turned pro in Norway in December of that year in San Marino. I didn't even know who Maureen was until 2019 when she came on the scene. But Issa turned pro at 19. Laura Lee turned pro in that year. So a lot of things happened. A lot of the people that are stars now came from that 2016 year. Jennifer Manziti, last time a rookie was ever in the top 5. And I remembered she's still one of my closest friends. I mean, she's left the industry now, but she's doing great for herself. But that was the last time a rookie ever made top 5 ever in their debut. I think that's all. Anyways, thank you guys so much. And I appreciate you guys liking, subscribing, sharing. I hope this brings some sort of value and I'm hoping to do this more. And I will do these at least once a week. I also have my guest. I'm going to upload that episode probably either every Monday or Friday, depending on if I can get it out because schedule's getting busy. We have things to attend to, I'm hopefully trying to get the tomorrow or today's the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, I'll be notified if I'm going to get a media pass for the Arnold Classic, which I'm excited for. I did get my Ultimate Expo pass. Still got to buy my plane ticket. Things are getting booked out. So I'm looking forward to this whole year. And once again, appreciate you guys so much. And you guys have a good one.